good morning. My name is Galia Rabczynski. I'm a student in International Development Policy at the McCourt School of Public Policy at Georgetown University.
Good morning. My name is Ana Lucia Fernandez de Soto. I'm in the Master of Public Policy.
Hello, my name is Mari Carmen Medina Mora, and I'm in the Master of Policy Management.
My name is America Avalos, and I'm the Master of Public Policy.
Good morning, my name is Cristina Martinez, and I'm also a public policy student. We are Peace Cluster. I will start by telling you the story of Elmer. He's a first-generation immigrant from El Salvador, living in Washington, D.C. with his family, who came to the United States fleeing out-of-control violence. Elmer, along with 23% of Latinos in D.C., is a resident of the neighborhoods of Ward 1, Cluster 2, that you can see in the slide in red. Last year, these neighborhoods had the most violent crimes, as well as the highest number of robberies in the city, which affects the community environment. Elmer has always been bright and witty. However, with his hardworking parents constantly away, the exposure to violence close to home, negative peer influences, as well as just as a teenager struggling to adapt, he has recently started to get into school fights. He has lost interest in his classes. His grades have gone down. He has been tempted to try drugs, and he might be expelled out of school soon if he does not change his behavior nor improves his academic performance. Elmer's story is the story of many students at the Cardozo High School, where 43% of students identify as Hispanic, and where 33% of them are learning English as a second language. Elmer's chances of graduating are not very encouraging. In Cardozo High School, only 52% of students graduate, well below the national average of 81%. Elmer is a student at risk, and he must choose the best path to take as he enters adulthood. But to do so, he must first break with the cycle of violence he is experiencing. What do I mean by this? The cycle of violence can start small, with Elmer yelling at another student in the hallway who offended him. If they do not communicate and solve this problem, Elmer might escalate his next action to pushing or hitting that person. If there is no intervention, Elmer will continue involved in the cycle of violence and may end up doing something fatal, which will have severe consequences on himself and those who surround him. So, how do we break with the cycle of violence?
To break the cycle of violence, we create Peace Cluster. That is a strategy to build peace and to break the cycle of violence. It has two main components: the Schools of Forgiveness and Reconciliation, also known as a SFR, and peace facilitators. The Schools of Forgiveness and Reconciliation were created in 2000 by Leonel Narváez, who wanted to end the cycle of violence in his country, Colombia. SFR are a 40-hour workshop divided in 12 individual sessions. Its main objectives are to teach people how to reconcile and to teach people how to forgive. To do this, the workshop works with the 4 dimensions of the person: the cognitive, the emotional, the behavioral, and the spiritual dimension. All of us, me, the judges, and all the audience, work with these 4 dimensions and learn through those 4 dimensions. And the workshop provides dynamics, theory, etc., to teach people how to reconcile and how to forgive through these 4 dimensions. Also, SFR restores the 3 aspects that we lost when we are in a violent environment: socialization, meaning of life, and security. However, the main innovation of the Schools of Forgiveness and Reconciliation is that it focuses in the causes and not in the symptoms of violence. Usually, NGOs and governments tend to think that the cause of violence are the lack of resources or the lack of education. However, thanks to some research, now we know that the main cause of violence is the mimetic desire. That is a fancy word to say imitation. For example, Elmer used to solve his problems yelling to his classmates because it's how his parents or his community used to solve their problems. The second strategy that we are going to implement through Peace Cluster is peace facilitators. In average, between the 20 and the 50% of the people that participate in the workshop are willing to be peace facilitators. Our objective is that the students that are going to participate in the Schools of Forgiveness and Reconciliation will be peace facilitators and will replicate the program in their school and in the schools of the area. This will empower them and provide them tools to continue in a culture of peace. This program has been successful. It has been implemented in 16 different countries, like Mexico, the United States, and Brazil. Also, it is available in 3 different languages: English, Spanish, and Arabic. This program won different awards, like one awarded by UNESCO and for the Colombian government. This program was implemented in a high school in Cundinamarca, Colombia. Before the implementation of the program, the high school had a lot of problems of violence. Students were very apathetic, they didn't have any sense of community, and they used to fight between each other. After the implementation of the program, a quantitative research was conducted, and they found that the school totally changed the culture. Now students work together, they are very engaged in the school activities, and they have a strong sense of community. Additionally, I know that this workshop works because I'm a certified peace facilitator, and I implement this program in my country, in different NGOs, schools, and governmental agencies. And I saw how this program changed the life of people and provide tools to change from one culture of violence to a culture of peace.
So how are we going to implement this? We visited the Office of Latino Affairs in DC, which is also known as OLA, and we met with the director, who explained to us that starting this fall, they're going to be implementing a pilot program to improve the academic and behavior performance of Latino students at Cardozo High School. This program includes mentorship activities, after-school activities, but it lacked the human approach to break the cycle of violence. So we proposed Peace Cluster to fill in this gap, and OLA offered to establish a partnership with us. Our target population are 40 high-risk students who we're going to select them in partnership with OLA based on their academic and behavior performance through interviews with teachers and counselors. We will also work alongside OLA to conduct a detailed evaluation strategy. First, before the implementation of the program, the students are going to complete empathy quotient surveys, and we're also going to gather information on their performance, our academic performance, through grades and behavior reports. And we'll also conduct focus groups with teachers and counselors. The follow-up data will be gathered 3, 6, and 12 months after the completion of the workshop. And we will analyze and compare this data to identify any changes in performance, behaviors, and attitudes. Another measure of the success of the program is its sustainability. And the metric for this indicator will be the number of participants who go on to become peace facilitators. As for the budget, as you can see in this chart, the material for the Forgiveness and Reconciliation workshops cost $2,000 each. And as America already mentioned, she's a certified peace facilitator. So she will conduct the workshop at no cost. The training workshop for the peace facilitator costs $600, and we will conduct evaluation. So this gives us a total of $4,600. And through our partnership, OLA has committed to fund the pilot program. And while this program is only targeting 40 teenagers, we are aware that there are countless students who would benefit from Peace Cluster. That is why, after the completion of the workshop, of the pilot program, we will expand the program to more students at Cardozo High School, and later on to the 3 other high schools in Ward 1 Cluster 2, who are also experiencing similar problems. And we're also aware that we're going to need to secure additional funding, so we have already identified several organizations who could be on board with our initiative. These are the Clinton Global Initiative, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, and the Edna McConnell Clark Foundation. Peace Cluster does not only have the potential to change Elmer's life, but also his community, and in the long term, the city of Washington. It is an empowering and necessary initiative, and we cannot wait to implement it because we believe that no human being is hopeless. Thank you.
So if I may begin questioning, how is this different than sheer counseling that they get from their schools?
So this is, if we can do an analogy, this is kind of vaccine. What I mean with this is that this provides tools to everyone to solve problems and to solve conflicts in a very peaceful way. However, through the implementation of this program, we will detect children or students with different problems that need further attention, and through this, we will derive them to counselors and to psychologists. So the big difference, and that this is a general strategy that will provide tools to build peace to everyone, not to just a few students.
So the scaling is different, is it? That is to say that a school counselor would think in terms of much larger population, while this peace counselor would talk with only a few people.
Correct.
I see.
And how do you decide on who those 40 are going to be?
Who what? Sorry.
How do you decide on who those first 40 students are going to be?
Okay, through our
Let
part.
me add to that question. Do you go to the worst ones or to the best ones of the
Yeah,
bad
I'll
ones?
explain to you. Well, actually, with our partnership with OLA, they will be selecting the students based on their academic and behavior performance. It would be the worst students, the ones that are at risk of remaining in school. It will be conditional for them to take the workshop so they can remain in school throughout the school year.
So they won't be volunteering?
No, it will be mandatory.
And the fundamental problem or the origins of their present state of disarray is basically the family and the communities. So how do you think that without approaching them or without keeping them out of the game, that these peace counselors would be able to help?
Okay, so the main focus of this program, we have aware that it's not going to solve the problems in their families, but it's going to give them the tools necessary to face those environments. So instead of responding violently when their parents tells them something, they will have the tools necessary to respond to their environment. That's the main focus of this program.
But do you involve the parent or the guardian at all? Are they aware of this program? Do they have to, are they involved at all?
They are aware of the program and that their children will be involved in their program. They have to agree before they take this program, so yes.
But as the person, a particular student goes through this program, at the same time, would his or her parents or family in any respect be involved in this?
Well, what this works is that we are going to implement this program just to the students, because we will provide them different tools to respond in a peaceful way to the different conflicts of their lives. We are aware that families and communities are very important in the development of a student. When I implement this in some elementary schools in Mexico, we could see that. However, we are going to focus just on the students at this moment. If we detect through the implementation of this program that the students have further problems with their families and their parents, we will derive them to the counselor and the psychologist of the school.
So,
Okay. Well, with all the examples of these other schools, can't we just point to those examples? Why do we need this new program to show that it will work?
Well, we're targeting especially the population in Cardoso High School in Washington, D.C., because there's no program like this one in the area. Although there's a lot of programs for Latinos and for the underserved community that involves computer lessons, ESL classes, tutoring sessions, there's not a program that focuses on the causes of violence. And well, what we're gonna do and what is innovative about our approach is that with the skills that we've learned in the McCourt School of Public Policy, it's very quantitative oriented. So we want to perform a impact evaluation of the schools, so the program can be transportable to other communities. So that we're working right now with our teachers. We're still in the first stages of this evaluation, but that's how we're gonna give back to these schools.
Well, although my question kind of was, if you think it's transportable to other schools, then why hasn't it been transportable from other schools? From the schools that have it?
Well, right now in DC, they haven't really implemented.
So
that's
this
why
is
they,
sorry.
sorry,
go ahead.
no, they were implemented recently in Chicago and in Boston. So, but it's really, it was last year.
You
so.
say it'll be evaluated. What will your evaluation criteria be? Is it academic performance? Is it reduction of violence? How do you count these things?
Okay. Well, first, we're gonna do a lot of qualitative analysis. So, based on the surveys we talked about and the focus groups, we're gonna see how the teachers see the performance of the students are improving or not. And we're gonna see the graduation rates in the long run in the Cardoso High School and in other high schools we implemented, and generally see just with the counselors and teachers how the behavior and the academic performance of the students are changing after taking our workshop.
So this is primarily limited to the Latin population, is it?
In the pilot program, we are focusing on the 40 students which are from a Latino origin.
Mm-hmm. As I understand it, that a great deal of problem comes from the gang membership. Have you looked into that at all, and how, whether your peace conference, the peace officer would have more of influence than, say, gang?
We have more what? Sorry?
Would it have more
Influence.
influence than the gang has on the kid?
Okay, we're only focusing on juvenile, which is teenager and young adults violence prevention. The prevention of gang violence is a completely different area, and we're not working with that because it's a lot more complex and out of our reach. So we're focusing on that. We are aware that we might get some students who are members of gangs or who are about to be recruited by gangs. And with that, we would drive them to the school counselors. But we're only focusing on violence prevention for teenagers and young adults.
Can a student be removed from the program?
Sorry?
Can a student be removed from the program?
First, I want to add something to the first question, and then I will answer yours. I implement this program in North Mexico, in Culiacan and Mazatlan, that are two cities with high problems of drug trafficking, and we implement this program in different schools. And even though we were working in that specific cases with drug dealers, we were working with children that were related with drug dealers in one way or another one. And the objective was to provide them tools to don't engage in those activities in the long run. At your question, the program is mandatory for them. However, in my past experience, we saw that students engage a lot in the program and they don't want to leave because they feel that they belong to a group and that they belong to a community.
Okay. Are the students supposed to deal with this empathy questionnaire at the end?
Yes,
Okay.
before and after.
Okay. I found it pretty difficult. I think I failed it totally. So maybe you don't need to pass it to get to be a judge here.
Well, the empathy coefficient is not fail or pass. It was created for Baron Cohen in his book Zero Grades of Empathy, and what you measure there is how your ability to react to the suffering on the pain of the other one. You don't pass or you don't fail the test. Moreover, we are going to use different psychological tests that are already being used for the Schools of Forgiveness and Reconciliation.
So so you have 40 kids, you're going to have just one person, you, dealing with those 40 kids?
I'm going to be conducted the workshop. However, I'm going to have another 4 people with me that will help me to conduct the workshop. Even though I have the manuals and I know how to implement it, they will be great support and they will be helping me to figure out all the steps that we have to go through.
I know this is exactly the wrong question, but is there any problem with the fact that you're all women, and I assume that a lot of these awful kids are going to be guys? Is that a problem?
Well, until now we haven't had any problem. I implement this with, for example, people that was in the rehabilitation stages, and they were mainly male, and they were very willing to participate in all the dynamics that we were implementing.
So your budget basically is materials for the classes, and I mean, it's a very modest budget, so very scalable, I assume. So tell me a little bit more about the support from OLA. What are their expectations of your role?
So we visited them, and they were very excited because they already had this plan in place, but they were lacking the human approach. So when we talked to them about Peace Cluster and the low cost they have, they were like, yes, we want to try this with our comprehensive strategy. We believe that this can be a strategy that can work, and we want to see a change in these students because, as we mentioned, they're the worst in school, and they're affecting the environment. So they were very excited about the possibility of turning these students not from being the worst to community builders, to peace facilitators. So they're excited, they're looking forward, as we are, to see what will be the results of peace clusters, how these students, as we have seen already in other, America has conducted other workshops, but they're excited to see how this will work and then to move forward with other students at the Cardozo High School and then to move forward to other schools in Ward 1, Cluster 2. We would really like to see, the way we see this project is from turning from a peace cluster to peace clusters.
Though I don't think they should expect more money from OLA, because as a chief financial officer, I used to control their budget.
Well, actually, that's why we know that budgets are usually limited. So that's why we identified other sources of potential funding, and that's why we also have thought, of other organizations that could be interested in joining this initiative, because it's not only Latinos. Violence is not only affecting Latinos, it is also affecting other minorities. So we believe that by approaching on a second stage too, for example, the Commission on African American Affairs, the Latin American Youth Center, which we already approached, but we should move forward on how to work together on our strategies to reach more of the Latino community and underserved community, the District of Columbia Public Schools, but right now we're focusing more on our pilot program in partnership with OLA in Cardozo High School, targeting these 40 students.
I'm obviously very impressed with how you look, but are you going to wear those shoes when you go out to
And just for me again, would you just recap one more time how often you meet with them, for how long?
Right. How long does this take?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Okay, so it's as you can see here, it's a 12-week program. It will start in fall when the new school cycle starts, and it's once a week for 3.5 hours per week, and it's 12 weeks. Yeah.
Thank you.
So at the end of the 12 weeks, you're expecting that 20 to 50% of the 40 kids who are still in, assuming 40 remain, you're thinking they will volunteer to do additional classes with other kids?
Well, normally they would, there are persons who volunteer to become peace facilitators after taking the workshops, and the idea is that we will train and certify the ones that would want to become peace facilitators so that they can conduct these workshops in the future for other students, therefore extending the program to the other students in the school. And then we can make this program, implement this program in the other 3 schools in Cluster 1.
So this is really ambitious. You're thinking this kid will go from being somebody who is dangerous and a problem to not just peaceful himself and not a problem, but someone who is helping someone else.
That's the idea, to become, so that they become involved in the community and not only want to change themselves, but change the lives of others.
in 12 weeks.
No, the workshop will take 12 weeks, then they would become peace facilitators and implement this workshop in the future for other students who will become, and then that's the way the peace cycle is going to extend in the whole high school and in other high schools in the same neighborhood.
Right now, we have around 100 docent facilitators around the world, and in the worst case scenario, that is very unlikely because usually between 20 and 50% of the people that participate in the workshops wants to be facilitator. We are partnership with with LAPA, the Latin America Policy Association at Georgetown. We are all members, so we are also going to train them, and they will monitor and support the implementation of peace cluster in the long run.